After a crushing defeat in 2024, most politicians would have faded into the background. They'd retire quietly, maybe write a book, or take a seat on a corporate board. But not Sherrod Brown. This is the story of a man who refuses to step aside. A man who believes his fight and his career are not over yet. Because in 2026, Sherrod Brown is coming back. And if he succeeds, it could shake the very balance of power in the United States Senate. But before we talk about his comeback, we need to talk about the loss that nearly ended it all. In November 2024, Sherrod Brown, the senior Democratic senator from Ohio, faced one of the toughest political battles of his career. After 3 terms in the Senate, known for his gravelly voice, rolled-up sleeves, and his dignity of work mantra, Brown was a fixture in Ohio politics. But Ohio had changed. Once a classic swing state, a place where both parties could dream of victory, it had been shifting steadily toward the GOP. Donald Trump had carried the state twice. Republicans controlled the legislature. And in 2024, the winds were not in Brown's favor. His opponent, Republican businessman and Trump ally, Bernie Moreno, a wealthy political newcomer with a hardline conservative message, and the full backing of the Republican establishment. The race was brutal. Negative ads flooded Ohio's airwaves. Debates turned heated. And despite Brown's long-standing popularity with labor unions and working-class voters, the numbers weren't adding up. On election night, the unthinkable happened. Sherrod Brown lost. By just under 4 percentage points, a margin small enough to sting, but big enough to send a clear message. Ohio was now Republican territory. For many, that was the end of the story. A respected political career closed. A 3-term senator replaced. Sherrod Brown's voice silenced in Washington. Or so it seemed. After 2024, Sherrod Brown stepped out of the spotlight. He wasn't on the Sunday talk shows. He wasn't making fiery speeches on the Senate floor. But he was listening, watching, waiting, and what he saw was an opening. Because in 2026, Ohio would face a rare political event. A Senate special election. The reason? Senator J.D. Vance, Ohio's other Republican senator, had been tapped for a high-profile role in a new administration. That left his seat open, and suddenly, Ohio had another race on its hands. The Republicans were quick to rally behind John Husted, Ohio's lieutenant governor. Husted was polished, well-connected, and deeply tied to the state's conservative base. On paper, he was a strong candidate. But Democrats knew something important. Ohio was still competitive, with the right candidate. And in their eyes, there was no better choice than Sherrod Brown. In early 2025, rumors started to swirl. Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, was personally calling Brown. Democratic strategists were flying into Columbus. Union leaders were holding quiet meetings. The message was clear. We need you back. Brown hesitated. He knew the odds. He'd just lost. Ohio's political climate hadn't magically flipped. Running again would be an uphill battle, expensive, exhausting, and deeply personal. But Brown is not a man who backs down from a fight. By mid-2025, the whispers turned into headlines. Sherrod Brown considering 2026 run. Democrats push for Brown comeback. In private, he began interviewing potential campaign managers, testing the waters with donors, quietly laying the groundwork. And on August 12, 2025, it became official. Sherrod Brown was running. Make no mistake, this isn't just about one man getting his seat back. This race could determine control of the United States Senate. Right now, Democrats and Republicans are locked in a razor-thin battle for the majority. One seat, just one, could decide who writes the laws, who controls the committees, and who shapes the nation's future. Ohio's special election is one of the biggest chess moves in that game. If Brown wins, Democrats gain a critical seat and momentum heading into the 2028 presidential race. If he loses, Republicans tighten their grip on a key battleground. And in politics, Momentum is everything. Sherrod Brown's entire political identity is built on one phrase: the dignity of work. It's not just a slogan, it's his brand. He talks about workers the way some politicians talk about war heroes. Factory workers, steel workers, teachers, nurses. In Brown's eyes, they are the backbone of America. Even in a state that's been trending Republican, this message still resonates. Blue-collar workers in Ohio may vote conservative on some issues, but they remember who fought for their pensions, their health care, and their jobs. And Brown is betting that those voters, combined with Ohio's Democrats and independents, can form a coalition big enough to take back the seat. But John Husted isn't going to make it easy. Husted is a career Republican politician with a polished image and deep roots in Ohio politics. As lieutenant governor, he's been a visible part of the state's GOP leadership, and he knows how to run a disciplined, well-funded campaign. His strategy will be simple: tie Brown to national Democrats, highlight Ohio's Republican shift, and frame the election as a choice between moving forward or going back. Expect the ads to be sharp. Expect the debates to be heated. And expect national money to pour into this race from both sides. Because make no mistake, the eyes of the nation will be on Ohio. For Sherrod Brown, the road to victory is clear, but not easy. Step 1. Lock down his base. That means re-energizing the unions, grassroots activists, and Democratic donors who supported him for decades. These voters decide Ohio elections, and they're tired of partisan extremes. Brown will pitch himself as a pragmatic fighter who puts Ohio first. Step 3. Cut into the Republican vote in rural areas. He doesn't need to win those counties, he just needs to lose them by less. Even a small swing in rural margins could flip the statewide result. And Step 4. Flood the state with a ground game. Door-to-door canvassing. Town halls. Non-stop media appearances. In an off-year election like 2026, turnout is everything. To outsiders, Sherrod Brown's return might seem like just another political story. But to Ohio, it's a test. A test of whether Democrats can still win in the heartland. A test of whether working-class voters still respond to old-school populism. A test of whether one man's resilience can overcome an entire state's political shift. And to Sherrod Brown, it's personal. This is his shot at redemption. His chance to prove that the 2024 loss wasn't the end, just a setback. That in politics, as in life, you can always get back up. In the months ahead, Ohio will become the center of America's political universe. Every handshake, every speech, every headline, will shape the fate of this race. Sherrod Brown is betting everything on one final fight. John Husted is standing in his way. And the people of Ohio will decide who wins. So when November 2026 arrives, it won't just be about one Senate seat. It'll be about the direction of the country, and whether a political comeback can change the course of history. This is Sherrod Brown's shocking return.